Lamar Jackson for the Baltimore Ravens, right now at least, is a quarterback that is unhappy. He is unsatisfied with playing for the Baltimore Ravens going into next year. With that being said, there are many teams who could use him, but only five, in my personal opinion, that will want to use him effectively, and not only use him effectively, but will want to use him in a way that's going to best fit their offense. Which of those five teams do you think are going to be the best fit for Lamar Jackson? We're going to find out right now for JP Football Fanatics here, giving you my top five favorite locations, landings of where I think Lamar Jackson is going to land. First things first, Lamar Jackson. Let's talk about him a little bit first. Was drafted in the 2018 draft. He was the last quarterback picked in the first round of the 2018 NFL draft. And ever since then, he sat behind Joe Flacco for about half the season, maybe a little less than half, but about half the season, 3/4 of the way through the season, before he got his official start. The next year, won MVP. That was his MVP year. And that particular year is where he started to skyrocket. Everybody was talking. So much positivity, so much energy, so much hype around this guy that many people thought would have already won a Super Bowl just based off of the franchise he was playing for and the way that he plays quarterback. And we know how special he really can be. Then we fast forward the next year after that. They missed the playoffs. Not miss the playoffs, but they do lose in the wild card round. No, not wild card. I'm sorry. They had a first round bye, and then they lost in the divisional round to the Tennessee Titans, who made it to the AFC Championship that year before they fell to the Kansas City Chiefs. The next year, they won the wild card, and yet again, they lost the division round. The year after that was 2021. Lamar got hurt in the end of that season, and the Ravens missed the playoffs by a game. Then the year after that, so last year was the year they finished the regular season of 10-7, and once again Lamar Jackson missed out on the end of the season that prevented them from going even further. And they made it to the playoffs, but they lost it in the wild card round to their arch rival, the Cincinnati Bengals. And now Lamar Jackson is trying to rename himself. He is now trying to find a new team that's going to take him in and is going to use him effectively. He is looking for receivers. He is looking for a coach that's going to help him point in the right direction. He is looking for a team that's going to support him. He is looking for a team that is going to give him the amount of money that he believes that he has earned. So, I don't want to delay any more here. Before we get any further as far as where I believe he's going to end up landing, or at least the top five teams that I believe is going to be the best fit for him, please be sure to drop a like on this video and leave a comment down below. And if there's anything, please let me know. If there is anything in particular as far as what you want me to cover going on to, the off-season stuff, the draft that's coming up, and vice versa, whatever topics you want me to cover and whatever things you want me to talk about, guys, I am here for you. I will definitely help you out the best way possible. But I can't do it without the support of you guys. And you guys are really the kind of people that I want to be connecting with. You are the people that keep this channel alive. You are the people that love football just as much as I do. And even talking about it too. So, you drop a like on this video, leave a comment down below, let me know what you like, what you don't like, what you want me to do in the future, and also, you see that little subscribe button that's down below in this video, make sure you click on that as well, because when you subscribe, that helps me build up on views, and it also tells me that you are interested in knowing more about what I have to offer as far as what I need to talk about. So, do all those things, the channel will grow, and it will be bigger and better than it is already. So just so you all know, this is for you guys, not for me. I love doing this, but I'm doing it for you guys because I feel like you guys deserve the chance of being able to hear a different point of view versus what you may hear from the media. So, with all that being said, let's get started. To those who are tuning in, thank you so much for tuning in. Always a pleasure as well. All right, let's go ahead. Let's get started. The very first team, the number 5 team that I believe could potentially try to get a franchise guy, and they have a high enough pick to be able to do so, to be able to trade him for, is the number 5 team here. They were last in the AFC South last year, and that is the Houston Texans. Now, the Houston Texans are have been having a pretty nice offseason, I would say. Obviously, they got their new head coach for like the third straight years, a new head coach of D'Amico Ryans. He's a defensive-minded coach. However, you take a look at what the Houston Texans have been able to pick up during this offseason. They were able to get Devin Singletary in a trade. Then they were able to gain in a trade with Dalton Schultz and was able to sign him for, I believe it's a 2. I believe they have him for a year, 2 years, something like that. And they traded away Brandon Cooks, which is going to hurt Lamar a little bit. But he does have some more weapons. I would probably say probably just as much weapons, if not more or better, for Lamar to work with than he did in Baltimore. And I think Houston is coming around in that right time frame where they can start doing this now. So I think in my personal opinion, with this first round pick that they have the number 2 overall pick. I believe that the Texans should find a way to negotiate a good enough deal for Lamar, because I think if they get Lamar in a nice blockbuster trade, I think that the Texans, because they don't have a lot to give up on the roster right now that's going to be worth up to Lamar's standards. But I also believe that if they do get that piece of Lamar and they add him in at quarterback, then they can also build around what they do need. Like, they have the running backs already. They have Devin Singletary they got from Buffalo. They also still have Dameon Pierce, so both of those running backs are going to be getting some split time. You also have Dalton Schultz. You're also building up on that offensive line as well. And if I'm not mistaken, there is another. I believe there's another wide receiver or two that I do believe that Houston was able to get as well. I can't remember exactly who they were, but if you guys know, please let me know in the live chat here. Now, obviously, with everything that's going on right now, as far as with all the trades and all the drafts are going on and everything, like, everybody thinks that Houston should draft a quarterback. While I think that's not a terrible idea for them, but I think they're in a position now where they can get Lamar Jackson. I think he can fit into the system well and kind of carry off to where Deshaun Watson last left it when he was the quarterback for the Texans. So I believe this is a good fit for him. I think they would utilize him to the best of their ability. They have some weapons. They have some key pieces that they were kind of missing out on before. And they also have solid running game as well, which is better than and more reliable than what Baltimore was offering to him at the time. So I believe this is also a good enough deal for them too. And I think this is going to be something that would be worth for Houston to look into, and also try to look into some free agency picks. And could be an opportunity for them too, where if they do get Lamar Jackson, they could also potentially try to get some wide receivers that are still in free agency. Like Odell Beckham Jr., for example, is looking for the next home that he could be going to. Houston could look into him as a number 1 or number 2 target for Lamar Jackson. And if they do get someone like Odell, this could be a good fit for the Texans to be able to try to compete in a very, very weak AFC South division going into next year. But I think the Texans is a good fit for Lamar. I think they need to pursue in trying to work out some negotiations to try and get Lamar, because I think he could fit into the system well. And if they work more around with what he needs, which I think they will be able to do, I think they'll be able to satisfy the needs that Lamar needs. This could be a pretty good fit for him. And another AFC South foe that I believe is going to be a good fit for Lamar is the Indianapolis Colts. A lot of teams are looking for the Colts to go in there and trade up with whoever they can get and work out a deal for Lamar Jackson. Now, this is actually a very good fit for Lamar to end up going to, and the reasoning is behind that is because of the head coach that the Colts was able to hire in Stetchen from the offensive coordinator from the Eagles. And when he was able to work with Jalen Hurts, he was very successful in being able to do so. They took the team to the Super Bowl last year. They couldn't win on their own aspects of things. They kind of fell short of expectations going into the last season and going into the Super Bowl and everything. But the Colts are a team that they have talent, but they're also very young and they're also very immature too. So in a way, after a year under their belt with going from Frank Reich to Jeff Saturday, who was one of the worst interim hires of any franchise history, I would say, in my opinion. And then you go in and get Shane Steichen from the Eagles as a nice, solid offensive coordinator, offensive minded guy who was able to work and do a good job developing Jalen Hurts. I believe that he could be able to do the same thing with Lamar Jackson. You take a look at the talent that they do have, and they have a lot of talent in them. Jonathan Taylor is still a very good running back, and he should be able to have a bounce back year next year if he stays healthy. You also have Michael Pittman in there that's still a very solid number one receiver. You also have the young rookie of Alec Pierce, who I think is going to be, I think he could be solid for this team. I think he's not great, but I think but he is someone that I believe Lamar can really work with. And then you've got the tight ends as well. You have Mo Alley Cox, I believe that should still be there. And you also have another tight end too that was able to work well into the offense. And I think a lot of other things that you do have to work on too is the offensive line, which was a struggle for Baltimore to do. So I think Indy can focus on being able to do that. But I think a lot of the play calling of what they could do going into next year is I think they can find a way to utilize Lamar and being able to use a Jonathan Taylor, and then you use Lamar as the dual threat there. So you can have him working like play action passes, which is something that he is always very good in doing. He's good outside of the pocket in terms of his passing game. His mobility is incredible. He's one of the fastest not running backs, one of the fastest quarterbacks in the NFL as of right now. And I also believe that this team needs to focus on a run heavy game because they have good running backs, a pair of good running backs, and they also have a running style offensive guy in Shane Steichen. So the Colts would be a good option for them. But I do strongly believe, though, that the Colts will and probably should really draft a young quarterback in Anthony Richardson, which I believe, and I'll do my mock drafts at some point, maybe sometime during the weekend or next week. I do believe that Anthony Richardson probably, very likely, will get drafted to the Colts. I think they're looking for a new young guy in there, and I think he would best fit into that system. But don't be surprised if the Colts did get Lamar Jackson, because I think this is going to be something that will be very good for Lamar, and he'll be able to work into the system quite well. Next team that I believe will and probably should look into getting Lamar, and it's a team right now that doesn't really have that much interest in getting him, but have been doing pretty nice things during the offseason, and it's the Atlanta Falcons. Now, the Atlanta Falcons finished last year 7-10, and they finished fourth in their division of the NFC South. Now, the Falcons, with what they do have, obviously, it's not the best talent in the world. It's not moving that much up a tier from the Baltimore Ravens in terms of Lamar standards. But this is a run-heavy Falcons team that I believe Lamar is going to benefit from. Arthur Smith did a great job last year in terms of being able to utilize Marcus Mariota into the offense, acclimate him to what he was able to do. Obviously, Marcus was not a very good pocket passer, so Arthur Smith was able to coordinate and be able to work around that for Marcus, so that way he didn't struggle too many games, and it worked out pretty well. I thought Marcus had a nice enough season to help the team get them some wins. I think if they get someone like Lamar Jackson, and then you take a look at the young bucks that they do have right now, like they have Tyler Algier, and they also do have Cordell Patterson, who is still very good in his own right. They also have Kyle Pitts in there too, who had a quiet year last year, but if he gets a real quarterback that's going to want to use him as a target, I think that would be a very reliable target for Lamar. And then you take a look at the receiver, which is something that Lamar does need. Drake London is the guy. And I think Drake London is the guy that's going to help this team become better on offense. Because when you miss Calvin Ridley and you trade him away, obviously that hurts your receiver game. But you also gain something at the end of it, and you get Drake London, who didn't get a whole lot of targets as of last year, but I believe that if he gets himself a legitimate quarterback, a all-star quarterback like Lamar, in this case, who they could potentially get, chances of Drake London being more successful in terms of his receiving game is going to skyrocket. And again, like I said, Arthur Smith, he coordinated everything that Marcus Mariota needed from last year, and he did a good enough job with being able to do that. I think he should be able to take on Lamar Jackson. And I think the owner of Arthur Blank needs to do the same thing. They don't have a lot of depth in them. So I think they need to pray and hope that they stay healthy. But what the talent that they do have is something that they can work with. And when you have a good offensive coordinator who was a play caller in Tennessee and did a nice job with Ryan Tannehill and company and being able to take his teams to the AFC championships and everything in years past, this is a guy that can take this team to the next step. Like, they've done a lot of good things this offseason. They just need the quarterback position to be filled. And if they can do that, they'll start working around them with veteran guys, and they'll be able to kind of find like their identity of where they want to be next, moving on from the 28-3 lead from that Super Bowl that everybody wants to continue talking about. And if the Atlanta Falcons does not work out, another team that I potentially think will fit his needs, and it's going to be, definitely a team that's going to be something very worthy, worthy, and something that's going to help Lamar out in terms of the weapons that he needs, the play callers that he needs, etc., and the talent and depth. That is going to be the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins have two, and I'll say this again, they have two of the fastest wide receivers in the NFL as of right now. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. It doesn't get any better than that. You have a good running game. You get Raheem Mostert back. You're getting Jeff Wilson back going into next year. You've got everything that you need. The only thing you have to concern about is Tua's health. Is Tua going to be that guy going into next year? He's going into his fourth year next year. But last year, if you take a look at what he was able to do last year, very successful, had a nice solid season and nice solid stats. However, the biggest problems for Tua as of right now is concerning of his health is because of the concussion protocols that he's been from last year. And he's had at least 3 concussion protocols that he's been in. And we know this from the Buffalo game in week 3, where they kind of called it but they called it a back injury, which everybody knows that's not true whatsoever. And then you also have, the other one from week 4 where he had that traumatic head injury against Cincinnati in Cincinnati. And then you're talking about the end of the season last year, and you're talking about the Green Bay Packers. That game was also where Tua was not playing right either. So that's at least 3 concussion protocols that he was pulled into as of last season. That's concerning. That's very concerning from a GM standpoint. It's concerning from a coaching standpoint. It's concerning from an owner standpoint, and even fans too. Like, if Tua does not excel next year, if he does not stay healthy next year and gets another concussion, that's very likely gonna force Tua to have go into early retirement, which means that Miami will be looking for a quarterback. Obviously, they're not gonna want Lamar to back up. Tua because that's just not happening. However, if a team really wanted to try to keep Tua off the field, have him sit for a year to see where he's at mentally and physically and healthy wise, they could get someone like a Lamar Jackson. They can afford to try to trade up. They can afford to see what they can get out of him because they're going to need some sort of quarterback. Last year we saw what they were. Teddy Bridgewater was not the answer. He didn't help this offense out, and Skylar Thompson was even worse. So they need a quarterback. They need a franchise guy. And if Tua's not their guy, Lamar Jackson definitely can be. And just imagine with what the talent that he does have to work with, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. Take a look at those two wide receivers. He's got all that he needs. Is two receivers that are fast, they're physical, they're hungry, and that would be a phenomenal duo to see. Lamar Jackson with Tyreek Hill or Lamar Jackson with Jalen Waddle. Like that's something that would be really, really good for them. That Miami should look into if Tua ends up not being the true answer going into next year. And then the number one team, I don't think a lot of people really think about this, but the number one team that I believe Lamar should go to if he's getting traded away from Baltimore, I think the number one team that I think is going to really help Lamar get back into the swing of things, get him the money that he wants, and show what he can showcase of what he can do. That one team in particular is a team that I have not heard many media people talk about, or people on Facebook, or any friends of mine that are avid football players or avid football followers. That team is going to be the San Francisco 49ers. I believe this is a excellent fit for Lamar. So let's talk about it a little bit. When they traded up for Trey Lance in 2021, they traded up several draft picks just to get Trey Lance, and they drafted him third overall. So knowing what Trey Lance does have, knowing and assuming that he's going to be back healthy next year, we're looking right now at a possible QB2 or a possible starter going into next year. Right now, the 49ers, the talent is there. They have the talent, they have the coaching. Everything about this team is nearly complete. The only thing that's keeping them back is a quarterback. So I know they got Sam Darnold, but Sam Darnold is not the answer. He is not the guy that's going to win you a Super Bowl. If they're looking for a running type of offense that's going to get them to where they want to be and have them be a closer contender to being Super Bowl champions, Lamar fits into the system perfectly because they tried to work the same thing with Trey Lance, but Trey Lance can learn from a mobile quarterback like Lamar, unlike Jimmy Garoppolo, who wasn't the mobile quarterback at that time. So what Lamar has around him is everything that he needs. Tight end, George Kittle. Wide receivers, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk. Running back, Christian McCaffrey. The offensive line, everything is right there for him. Defense, excellent. Run defense is the best in the NFL. Corners, could use some work in the corner position, but they're not bad there either. Like this team definitely can be Super Bowl ready if they get themselves the right quarterback. Lamar fits into the system perfectly. He'll have the weapons that he wants to throw to. Kyle Shanahan is going to make him a superstar. He can definitely get him back to MVP level at least. This team could also win a Super Bowl in the NFC side of things, and this team could also be able to compete with the big dogs in the AFC right now. And that would be like Kansas City they could compete with for sure, although they didn't last year. Buffalo, Cincinnati, they could give a run for their money. I'm trying to think of who else is like really a big dog there. The Chargers, maybe. They can give them a run for their money. But I doubt the Chargers will make the Super Bowl, but who knows? I mean, I think the 49ers can really compete with any of the AFC teams, like the big dogs, especially like Kansas City, Buffalo, and Cincinnati. And even Jacksonville, too. I think they would have a solid game and a good matchup with Jacksonville, too, if Jacksonville made it to the Super Bowl next year. But Lamar needs a team that he needs to go to. And I think if he fits into the Shanahan offense, He's going to fit into the system well, and he's going to be acclimated appropriately. Like they will have the running back if they need a running back to run the ball at the time and do the carries. Obviously, you're going to have Christian McCaffrey do that. If you want to be passing the ball deep down the field, Lamar can pass the ball deep down the field. Accuracy has gotten a lot better since the time that he's been in the league. So I'm not too worried about his accuracy at this point. I'm more worried about, is he going to be able to win like the big games? And I think he can do that with the 49ers. He has everything that he is asking for. The wide receivers, the protection, the running backs, the defense. He has everything that he's asking for. This is the team that he should go to next year. Any of the other ones that I said before, I would be fine with, but this is the team that he should go with. I think this is the team that is going to, this is like a team that can win now, and they can use someone like Lamar to get them back into that winning category and being able to win the big games. So that is my top 5 picks as far as, and landings as far as like where I think Lamar Jackson is going to best fit going into next year. Like, I believe these are good teams. I think any of the 5 teams are really good, and I would not be disappointed if he went to any of the other 5 teams besides the 49ers, or even outside of the list either. But I believe Lamar needs to play somewhere. I think he deserves a lot more credit. I think he deserves a lot more respect, and he deserves a lot more recognition and the help that he needs to be a successful quarterback and be a winning quarterback in this league today that is pass heavy. I think these are the teams that really should look into him. These are the teams that he should be considering. So that is my top 5 teams of where I think Lamar Jackson should go. And before I close off this video, everybody, please do me a favor. Drop a like on this video if you can. Leave a comment down below as well. Like I said before, with the liking and the commenting, obviously, guys, I'm a one-man show. Let's be honest here. I'm a one-man show, but I'm trying to grow this channel to be bigger and better than what it is already. So that means like better cameras, better graphics, better microphones, anything that you guys need and need like more of a standout to. I want to be able to do that, but I can't really do that unless I have the help from you guys and the support from you guys, because that means a lot to me, because I know that you are avid football players and fans, at least fanatics, football fanatics, and you are the people that want to hear all this different stuff. You want to hear the different perspectives on things like this. So I'm your guy. Please drop a like, comment down below. Hit the subscribe button that's also down below on this video as well, because that's also going to help my channel out in growing in subscribers, and also it will help out the views, and more people involved, the better the channel is going to be in terms of trying to find the right content to cover and being able to supply to you all and provide to you the best content that you guys need. So all those things are going to help me come a long way. So I need you all to please do that for me, and that would be greatly appreciated. So thank you. All right, everybody. I hope everyone had a great time in terms of kind of understanding where I'm standing side on as far as like the teams and everything like that. I am planning to do another podcast sometime this weekend. I'll keep you on the loop on that. It's probably going to be a pre-recorded podcast with Scott yet again. So just kind of be on the lookout for that during the weekend, and we'll let you know as far as what the topic is going to be going into next time. With all that being said, everybody, this is JP Football Fanatics saying peace.